Okay, hopefully the audio is working. So, if it is not, please comment. I am going to attempt to do this again, do it properly, do it with good audio. This is my second take at this. So my apologies. I just wanted to have a conversation about the announcement today that NGC is introducing a 10-point grading system on coins, on numismatics that are 1982 and newer. And I want to share what I think about that. So I am monitoring chat right now, so give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. First of all, I know my audio is not great because I'm in a car. I'm driving. And I'm doing this just because I haven't been uploading a lot of content lately, and I just want to stay connected with the community. But on this video right here, I do want to share my thoughts on NGC going to a 10-point grading system on 1982 and newer, from what I hear. Now, Ben the Coin Geek the Coin Geek on YouTube and Coin Help You have both talked about this already today, so I don't want to be redundant, and I'm not trying to steal anybody's fire. Those guys know way more about coins than I ever will. But I am a collector of new numismatics. I would say the bulk of my collection is 1992 and newer. I do have older coins, but I think that this is a really interesting development. I think that one thing that is very cool is that it kind of takes the wind out of the sails of CAC and their announcement of introducing a new coin grading service, as if we need that. You know, what I like about this is just how disruptive it is, because I'm not sure look, competition is always good, right? Like, we can always use more services. But what is one doing differently than another? Well, you know, they have this expert or that expert or whatever. What I like about this is that it's going to help introduce younger collectors into the market. My son collects Pokemon cards. PSA grades and certifies Pokemon cards, and they are owned by PCGS. PSA grades everything on a scale of 1 to 10, as does the comic book grading services, as do Funko Pops, Magic the Gathering, football, baseball, basketball, hockey cards. They are all graded on a 10-point grade system. So I think to have a standardized collectibles market, I think people intuitively understand a score of 0 to 10 because we do it with everything. We do it with, you know, guys, just think of when we were boys in puberty and young men, and even some of us creepy old guys. I'm only going to call myself out on that. I'm creepy, all right? I am a creep. Just ask my wife. We look at a girl and we assess a score to her on a scale of 1 to 10. So, my 9.9 wife even understands this grading system. And that's what's so cool about it. When you try to explain a coin grade to a non-collector, which I do all the time, I work with a gal. Her father-in-law, turns out, collects coins, has a ton of coins, and wants to know, hey, what does he have that might be worth something? And he has a lot of like Morgans, Benjis, Washington quarters, and things like that. Some pretty common stuff. But as you know, common stuff can have, you know, key dates or certain conditions that will cause them to be worth more money. And so when I try to explain the difference between an AU-55 and an MS-63, like most people who aren't in the hobby, blank, just goes blank, you lose them, you know. But for somebody like that, I can say, you know what, it depends. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good do you think that coin is? You know, I mean, you can ask a non-collector on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being a perfect brand new coin, what is that coin? It's so easy. So I'm really excited. I am excited for this because I have a whole ton of of newer coins that I want to take advantage of this service. I want my coins in those holders. I've got all the statehood quarters. I've got all of the America the Beautiful quarters. I've got the 2018 reverse proofs in silver. I've got the 2017, the enhanced, I think they're Philadelphia Mint enhanced burnished, I think they're called. I've got a lot of cool new stuff that I think I will put in those, get those graded, especially like the special stuff. I think in 2020 there was a reverse proof penny, and in 2019 there's a reverse proof nickel. Look, our W quarters, all the W quarters we find coin roll hunting, these are going to be prime candidates for this service. And it's going to help to attract younger collectors. I'm in a coin club. About 20 people show up. I'm supposed to go tonight, but I can't. And I would say the average age of the room is 70 years old, for sure. It's old. Coin collectors are old. Go to a coin show. There's not a lot of kids walking around a coin show, you know. And but if I go to a card convention or a comic convention or an expo, the comics not so much, but in the card show, I might be the oldest guy in the room where there's a lot of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And things of that nature. So, JK, thank you, brother. Thank you for coming back. So, hit the like button if you haven't already. I see I do have a like already. So, yeah, I think that this is a great development. I think this is the kind of disruption the coin market needs to really get people excited. And people are going to go against it, right? People are going to bristle against this. The old school, the old guard of coin collectors and numismatists, they're going to struggle with this transition. And so what this does is this forces their competitors. This is going to force CAC, and this is going to force PCGS to take a position on this. Why it's good or why it's bad. You know what I mean? And so the competitor in you wants to say, let them do it. We've got this time-tested, proven method that, came out like in the 40s? Like in the mid-40s, I think, is where the modern 70-point system came through. It's never failed us up to this point. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. But is that really true? Has the 70-point system failed us? Well, how many crackout videos do you see, crackout and crossover videos do you see on YouTube where, for example, Ben the Coin Geek, he sends a coin off to PCGS and it comes back Unk details clean. He cracks it out, sends it off to NGC, comes back in MS66. You see that a lot. So with modern coins, though, there should not be issues with like cleaned coins, right? There shouldn't be all the issues with like questionable color, because really anything 1982 or newer that has real striking toning, you're gonna question a color even if it's legit. And I've seen like American Silver Eagles that have legitimate striking toning, but you know, we shouldn't see that with like America the Beautiful quarters. There shouldn't be an issue on whether there's legitimate toning or cleaning, especially with like your silver proof sets and W quarters and things like that. You know, the errors, right? Like, I'll tell you, I've got a couple of NGC coins MS65 that are the Wisconsin high leaf and low leaf, right? I have one of each of those. They're MS65. Those coins are about $100 a piece. Do I crack those out and send them in to be put in the new 10-point holders? That's an interesting question. I think they're both Ds. I think they're both 2004 Ds. Do I take those out and send them in and have them graded? If they're MS65, what would that make them in a 10-point system? Are they 9.0, 9.4, 9.5, 8.7? I don't know. That's the question, is how are those crossovers going to work? I think it's really interesting, though. I got to tell you, I'm really excited for this development. And I'm excited because it's going to help me to make sense of these coins with my son, who collects Pokemon cards and understands. He's obsessed like I am with coins. He grades every card that he pulls out, that it's, this is an alternate art, hollow, full art, whatever. And he can tell, he starts looking at the edges, looking at the back, looking at the borders and everything. And he's grading everything in his mind. He's like, yeah, this is like a 9.3, 9.4. Like, he gets that. He gets it. He's 12. But I can't put a coin in front of him and he doesn't understand what a MS64 is from an XF45, right? So that's a challenge. That's a challenge we have to overcome in the coin collecting community. If we're going to attract younger collectors, which, look, more collectors is good. We want more collectors, because more collectors is going to make these coins more difficult to get, which, well, that kind of sucks as a collector, but it's also going to drive up the value of the coins we already have, right? There's only, let's say the 2018 reverse proof silver quarters, the America the Beautiful. There's only like 300,000 of those mint sets put out, So not every coin collector can have that. If we're scoring those on a 10-point system, and here's the other thing with coin collecting, right? I always talk about this. I preach this with silver. I preach it with coins. Collect what you like, because you might get stuck with it. There's no guarantee on future value of anything, So collect what you like. And for me, I like Morgan dollars, but I don't feel particularly connected to them. I've never carried them in my pocket as change. I do remember as a kid seeing like the old Standing Liberty quarters as I took one last look as I put it in the Coke machine, or I remember having Franklin half dollars. I remember having Benjis. I can remember holding those in my hand as a kid, But I've never held a Morgan dollar or a trade dollar or anything like that. And so when these kids start to get into their 20s and 30s and 40s, like my son today, he's 12 years old. When he's 25, 30 years old, and maybe I'm on my deathbed thinking about selling my coin collection, he's going to look at my modern quarters and remember having those in his pocket. He's going to look at these America the Beautiful quarters that are in circulation now. And he's going to look at the, the statehood quarters that are in circulation now. And he's going to be like, oh, yeah, I remember these. Oh, that was a cool one. You know what I mean? So, and now you have them slabbed and graded in a way that already makes sense to him, because everything he's collected his whole life has been scored that way. Video games, right? If you collect old Nintendo or Sega Genesis or Atari 7600 games that are still in the box, those are gradable, right? On a 10-point system. I think it simplifies things. I think it makes it more uniform. I'm really excited to see what their holders are going to look like. As soon as they launch this, I'm sending off my 2018s right away. I'm probably going to send off my 99s also, because, the 1999 Delaware in an MS70, or in a Proof 70, a Proof 70 Deep Cameo, that's like a $200+ coin. Why wouldn't I do this? Why wouldn't you do this? So here's the question, dear coin collectors, stackers, numismatists. You have a Morgan. You know what, JK? I do that too. I don't have any pocket pieces with me, but for about a year, I carried 5 Benjis with me. I had 5 pretty heavily circulated Benjis that I just carried in my pocket because I liked the sound of those silver coins ruffling in my pockets. I think what they're doing is wise in having the dividing line at 1982. Why? Well, interestingly, in 1982, and I don't know what their thinking is on it, but 1982 is like the last year of copper pennies, right? So there's a composition change there. Well, that's interesting, right? So yeah, there's that. Why else would 1982 be a dividing line? I mean, that's 40 years ago. Well, I guess that is kind of that's a really modern coin, isn't it? It's interesting. I think that if they can price it right, I mean, what does it cost? JK, maybe you know the answer to this question. What does it cost to send a modern coin in for grading, like economy service? Because I know that there's and I think the dividing line is 1964, actually, 64 and older for the grading services. Those are considered old, I guess, versus modern. So 65 and newer is considered modern for the grading services right now. So it's interesting that they make the dividing line 1982. Anyhow, I'm really curious of what your guys' thoughts are on this. But once this thing is going to be offered, I'm in. I am all in. I am sending in as many coins as I can afford to do, and I want those holders. I've held on to these moderns that I've been collecting in their raw condition, specifically thinking someday I'm going to send these off for grading. Not yet. I don't think it's worth it right now, but I think at some point it's going to be worth it. Now is the time. If there was ever a time to do it, I think now is that time. And I think that a company like NGC doing it and not some new upstart company doing it, I think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and I couldn't be more excited about it. But tell me what you think in the comments. I'm about to lose signal here, so I'm going to let you go. Thanks for watching, and we will see you probably tomorrow. Who knows?